125 people are killed. 50 survive. Pancho Huddle was the American Consul General to India, flying with his wife to Nairobi, Kenya for a vacation. For the first 20 minutes after takeoff, it was a normal flight.
And then all of a sudden, you see on the right-hand side, a guy come running down the aisle, sort of waving his hands kind of wildly. Almost looked like he was crazy.
The plane was hijacked and was heading toward the African coast. After 3 hours, it began to run out of fuel.
After several hours, the pilot came on, and you could hear the pitch of one engine change, and said, "We've lost fuel in one motor, and we're going to lose fuel in the other one." At that point, the plane was kind of like a scene from a movie, pandemonium, people break into tears.
The hijacked plane's pilots now had no other option but to attempt an emergency landing in the Indian Ocean.
And the first bump was fairly gentle. And then I said, "Uh-oh, I'm dead."
The crash was filmed by tourists on the nearby beach. On impact, Huddle blacked out.
I woke up, said, "Hey, I'm alive." Literally talking to myself, "Wow, this is surreal. I survived the plane crash, and I'm in the middle of the water floating. There's a handful of people bobbing in the water." I looked to my right for my wife, and she's gone. My heart sank. I absolutely remember the feeling, that your heart just goes into your throat. Absolute horror.
Incredibly, Huddle's wife had also survived, and they now both struggled to stay afloat in the water, waiting for help to arrive.
I saw them, a boat came out towards us, and they went past me twice. The third time they picked us up, and we were lucky. Of all the passengers in the plane, roughly 3/4 were killed.
Pancho Huddle and his wife were transferred to a local hospital. He soon experienced a surge of euphoria, common to plane crash survivors.
It's a complicated mosaic. When you survive something like this, you have this profound sense of relief, and you're just so happy that you survived, and you're on like this sort of perpetual high. That does continue for quite a while. The cosmic changes, I think, come later. You suddenly sort of wake up and you're back to a certain degree in your normal life, but you're never quite the same.
December 1995, Buga, Colombia. American Airlines Flight 965 slams into a mountainside. 160 people are killed. Only 4 survive. One of them is Mercedes Ramirez Johnson. At the time, Mercedes was a Missouri college student, heading to Colombia with her mother and father to spend the Christmas holidays in their hometown of Cali.
There's always a huge difference between going on a flight that's bound to Latin America versus one going somewhere else, because it's almost like a fiesta on board. Everybody's lighthearted, everybody's excited, everybody's tired, wanting to hurry up and get home.
Mercedes had extra reason to celebrate on this flight. It was her 21st birthday. But as the aircraft made its approach into Cali Airport, the party atmosphere changed dramatically.
Without any warning, the pilots took the nose of that plane and they just pulled it straight up. And it felt like we were on a space launch or something, where literally we were just flying up against gravity.
The wrong coordinates had been entered into the plane's navigation system. Now it was heading directly toward a mountain. Desperately, the pilots were trying to gain altitude.
Panic just erupted in the cabin. I mean, you could hear people crying, you could hear people screaming, you could hear parents trying to calm down their children. I mean, it was just mayhem. Throughout all of that, I remember I could hear my mom praying out loud. Under my breath, I kept on saying over and over again, "Just straighten it out, just straighten it out."
But it was too late for the pilots to avoid the mountain.
There was just a loud, just booming, crashing sound that came from the very back of the plane, and it was the scariest, loudest sound I'd ever heard. I just grabbed my father's hand and I squeezed onto it as tight as I could, and then that was it. Just darkness after that.
American Airlines Flight 965 crashed into the mountain at 400 miles per hour. As morning broke, Mercedes woke up inside the wreckage of the destroyed aircraft.
When I woke up, I had no idea where I was. And I remember seeing luggage broken open on the floor with clothes and personal belongings. Seats of the airplane just mangled and turned upside down in pieces. And I remember seeing lots of people, just perfectly silent and still people laying around me.
Mercedes' leg was broken, and she now had to crawl over dead bodies to get out of the wreckage.
I had to drag myself over a woman. I remember she was wearing a burgundy shirt. She had short brown hair, and it didn't, at that point, it didn't occur to me that she was someone's wife or someone's mother or someone's friend. I just thought, I'm here, and I need to get there.
Outside the wreckage, she realized there were other survivors.
10 yards away, there was a man who was, I remember hearing him singing Christmas carols. And I thought, oh, geez, this is the part where we all start to go crazy. I mean, why is this man singing Christmas carols?
But Mercedes had not gone crazy. The man was trying to keep his daughter awake.
I could hear a little girl singing and talking back to him. And so I thought, he's just trying to talk to his daughter. And so he reminded me too much of my dad. That's when I just had to mentally just check out. I said, okay, all of this death and devastation is too much for me to handle.
When we're in life-threatening circumstances, what's going on in our body very quickly and very radically changes to prepare us to somehow deal with this intense emergency. Your entire focus is on what's relevant. What do you need to do right now to survive? And everything that's irrelevant is almost erased. It drops away. It doesn't register.
Mercedes endured 18 agonizing hours on the Colombian mountainside before help finally arrived.
The first helicopter came over, hovered. It was just such a huge relief because it's like, oh my gosh, they know we're here and they're coming to get us now.
As she was airlifted off the mountain, the emotional trauma that she had fought to contain overtook her.
As I was loaded onto the helicopter, the next person was a doctor or a nurse. And I remember looking into her eyes, and it was so calming. And they were all taking care of me. But I remember that she was just so nurturing to me at that point that I finally felt like I could finally cry, that I could finally just let it go.
Mercedes was rushed to the hospital with 3 other survivors, but her ordeal was far from over. Her doctor would soon tell her about the terrible toll of the crash.
I asked about the other people, and then I said, well, where's everybody else? And I remember he said, there isn't anybody else, it's just you 4. So that was hard to hear.
Mercedes now realized the painful truth that among the dead were her mother and father.
My sister flew from the United States to Colombia to be with me. She came to my bedside and she took hold of my hand, and before she had a chance to even say anything, I remember I just told her, I just said, I guess it's just you and me now, and she just broke down.
Mercedes had survived, but alone in her hospital bed, she now faced the reality of trying to put her world back together again without the 2 most important people in her life.
Now my parents are gone, and I'm thinking, what in the world am I going to do without my parents now? I mean, just so